Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming at you with my next update video. Today is Thursday, January 18th, 2018. Happy kickoff to Year of Whips. I hope that everybody that's participating is off to a fabulous start, even though we're only 12 hours in, give or take, at least here on the East Coast. But yeah, it's exciting. Very exciting to kick off the new Year of Whips, or almost year, I guess. And also, happy birthday to Melanie, the Soulful Stitcher, who is heading up this fabulous event. I don't know about you guys, but I got really, heavily inspired the other day. I was scrolling through the Soulful Stitching page on Facebook, and just seeing all of the albums and everything that everybody's going to accomplish this year, I was really inspired. It made me really want to stitch. But nothing of what I had going. I want to stitch what you guys are working on. Anyway, that's how it goes sometimes. So we have quite a few things to talk about here today. Kind of a little bit of everything. I've got Q&A from the last 2 weeks because, like I told you guys last week, I had forgotten to pull them from the week before, and so I went ahead and did that, and so we'll address that today. Projects I've worked on, projects I'm working on. I have 5 projects to show you for things that I have worked on, and my rotation, it was not supposed to be like that, but that's how it is, and I'll explain that here in a minute. And then we'll talk some plans and some changes to my plans. I also have a little bit of purchases, stash acquisitions, whatever you may want to call it, books and knits. So yeah, everything today. Full disclosure though, it may be a quicker video despite all of that because yesterday I was in migraine land and I am still not feeling 100%. So I can't expect that this is going to be a terribly long one. Sorry about it, but there it is. So let's just go ahead and jump right on in without much more preamble. And I'm going to start with Q&A. And so I've got my questions printed out, and I'll just set those there. And so the first question comes from Rebecca7007. And Rebecca says that she's been wanting to start doing videos for FlossTube for a while now, but she's nervous. And so she asked if it took me a long time to start doing my videos. And the short answer to that is no, it really didn't. I got it in my head one day that I was going to do it, and then I sat down and I did it, and I put it up there. Here's the thing about FlossTube. We are literally the most accepting community I have ever seen in my whole life. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. It doesn't matter what corner of the globe you come from. Please jump on, show your whips. We would all love to see them. We're all here for the same thing. So if you are the least bit nervous about it, it's okay. We're all kind of a little bit shy. I'm a really shy person in real life. I haven't said it explicitly on my channel yet, but we are, I am headed to the StitchCon retreat in June, and I am so excited about it. But I'm also, an incredibly shy person, and it's going to be a big step out of my comfort zone for that. But these videos, I'm talking to myself, basically, and then you guys just watch later. So, the long and short of it is, I was nervous, but it didn't take me a long time to start doing it. So just jump in. Just do it and go for it. Because no matter what, you will be accepted, I promise you. The next question is coming from Crypt Chicks Crypt. And she asks, how about doing a diamond painting for your Heaven and Earth? And she's referring to, I believe it was 100 Years by Josephine Wall that I was gifted by Brittany from Vol Stitcher. And I had talked about how that would be Confetti Madness, and I mean, it's Josephine Wall, so of course it would take me about 100 years to stitch it, and so she recommended the diamond painting as an alternative because it obviously goes much faster. And I don't know how I feel about the diamond painting, if I'm honest. I love looking at them. I love seeing people work on them. I love watching the diamond paint with me videos. Those are a lot of fun. I don't know if doing one myself is necessarily something I'm ready to jump into. I bought a long time ago a kit from AliExpress of a diamond painting kit, and it was nothing like, it's not like these Heaven and Earth Design converted diamond painting kits. This is a different situation altogether, but it's the same sort of concept. It's little jewels that you stick on the paper, basically paint by number kind of a thing. And that has sat in that closet over there for 3 years now. I haven't touched it. And I don't even have the draw to work on it. On top of the fact that I don't have the space for such an adventure at this point. So I'm going to table the idea for diamond painting for a while. It's not necessarily my jam. Okay, next question. The Rocking Stitcher asked if I was going to do last year's year in review tag. Funny you should mention that. So I attempted to film a Stitch With Me video shortly after the new year, or shortly before the new year, somewhere in that time span. It must have been before because I was working on Lady of the Flag during it. And in that Stitch With Me video, I did the year in review tag. And I couldn't get it off of my phone. I shouldn't say that. I used my husband's work phone, which has a lot more space on it, and I couldn't get it off of his phone. I couldn't get it to transfer over because it is linked to his work account, not his personal account. So there was no way that I was going to get this 45-minute video off of his phone, and so I had to scratch it. And I would still like to do the year in review tag, but I'm afraid that we're getting too far beyond. I'm afraid that we're getting a little bit late in the game as far as that is concerned. I have thought about putting it on the blog, but it's a really long tag, and so I don't really think it's suited for the blog either. So I might do it next year, and I might just table it for this year and pass on it for now. Okay, next question comes from Sister Stitchers, and she asked, "Hey Jessie, I know you discussed this a while ago, but I can't find the video. What do you use to edit your videos?" I use iMovie. I use iMovie for everything. I use iMovie and the FaceTime camera to film, and then I will edit using iMovie's editing technology, and then save it and upload it. And you can find more information about that in the behind the scenes tag. I will link that down below. It might also pop up here, up there, so that you can watch that video to see a more in-depth talk about it. I can't remember what number it was. I know that it was from 2016. Yeah, 2016. So I'll put the link to that. But iMovie. Next is a question from Yvonne Patterson, and Yvonne asks, how many hours does it take you to do 2,000 stitches? And it's a complicated answer, but I think that what she's referring to is Snow Castle by Heaven and Earth Designs. I managed to do 2,000 stitches the weekend before last, and with Snow Castle, I'm really quick. I can do approximately 2 blocks an hour, a little more than 2 blocks an hour on Snow Castle. So it probably took me about 10 hours over the course of Friday through Sunday to do those 2,000 stitches, which sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot. But you know, stitching, it's like you go into this time warp where time passes, but I don't know. Time is irrelevant as far as stitching is concerned. And then next is not really a question, but it was a comment from Jane Roocroft, and she said, someday I might get around to making a video. Every time I start a new WIP, I think I have nearly 50. I say to myself, that's okay. Jessie Marie has 70. I had to laugh at that. Because I think we all kind of do that, right? We always have somebody who's a little bit ahead of us where we're like, it's all right if I start this one because so and so has this many, and so I'm not at that level yet. So I just had to laugh at that. Jane, if you are at 50, I'm jealous. I want to be at 50. I want to be at 20. I think I was watching this morning. Cassie Stitches, Cassandra. She was talking about how she's got 25 and she wants to get down to less than 10. I would love to know what that feels like. Less than 10? Then I wouldn't have to have this agony over what to work on. And anyway. Oh, the nostalgia of the early days of my stitching career. And that is everything that I have as far as questions are concerned. As always, y'all, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them either directly to you or next time in my next video. So let's go ahead and switch gears. We're going to move on into the works in progress, the things that I have worked on over the last week or so. And the first thing that I worked on is going to come as no surprise, but maybe the progress will. And so preview here of what the Birthstone Dragon style will look like finished, as well as what it looked like last time. I was part the way through the August Peridot Dragon, and I have now finished the August Peridot Dragon and made a good chunk of progress on September Sapphire. So let me just zoom in here so you can see what I've got done, and I'll go this way to play with so we get the better light. So I was able to attach Q's gemstone there, and then I got the beads on order for the chain that I was talking to you guys about last time. And I attached the gem so that it kind of kicks up a little bit. You know, the rest of them obviously dangle because gravity, but this one I set so that it's kind of sitting up a little bit. So there's that. And then Thursday morning I got up and I sat down to stitch and I was like, all right, I've got today. And I decided to take Thursday as a stitchy day as well as Friday and the weekend. Anyway, so then the most beautiful thing happened. And Lisa from Lisa Stitching and Such had put up a 2.5-hour video of just goodness. The whole thing was so good. So I put it up on the big screen and I'm watching and stitching, and then I'm watching and not stitching, and before you know it, 2.5 hours is over, and I hadn't progressed nearly as far as I needed to. So that was a little disappointing, and Thursday it didn't end up being the stitch all day kind of day that I was hoping it was going to be. And so I didn't get September done. I could have, but I got distracted by Lisa's video. So obviously I didn't finish it, and I haven't been working on it this week. By the way, before I move further, I just want to take a second to thank everybody so much for your votes and for your help. I'm going to talk about the results from the votes here in just a minute, but thank you for doing so. And then here is what this looks like currently. So this fabric is 32 count Belfast in Sparkling Diamonds by Crafty Kitten Fabrics. And I am changing small things here and there with this design all the way through, but loving it. I posted on the Ingleside Imaginary Facebook group where it even says, share your work. That I felt like a rebel because everybody is working on Guardians of Notre Dame and they're finishing their chimeras, and here I am talking about last year's cell. But anyway, so there's that. Okay, so Friday morning rolls around and it is time for my next Heaven and Earth Designs weekend. And this weekend was devoted to the Full Coverage Fanatics group, the quarterly winter sale. And so it's the seasonal version and it's winter, and so Snow Castle it was. And so here is what the design will look like finished. You'll be seeing a preview here of what this looked like the last you saw it. And on Friday I had a doctor's appointment, and so I didn't start stitching until 5 o'clock. And then, I don't know, I just ran into all of the interruptions and the difficulties stitching this weekend, and so I'm like really surprised, like legitimately, honestly surprised at the progress that I made. So this is on a 25 count Easy Count Lugana by Zweigart. And so here is where I am now. And so, oh, you can really see that. Oh, it looks so good. So I managed 2,600 stitches this weekend, and like I said, I have no idea how it happens. But I'm like really, really loving the way that it's looking. Especially those lighter, brighter blues there at the bottom. Yeah, that's pretty. So this section went really quick, and I am really excited to get to this weekend because I'm going to try to finish the page tomorrow. We'll see if it works out that way, but I have 1,400 stitches left. And tomorrow is the second stitch-in hosted by Off the Grid Needle Arts and the Off the Grid Needle Arts Friday Party page. And so basically from 6 to midnight, you just stitch as much as you can. Pretty much just do what you do on a normal Friday night and park yourself in front of your stitching. And so that's what I'm going to do. And because we have some other plans this weekend, I told Danny, I was like, I'm taking Friday night and I'm stitching. And he was like, cool, let's do it. And so I'm going to try to finish the page tomorrow. We will see if it works out. But yeah, I'm really excited. I just think it would be really great to knock out the top 3 pages and have the first row totally done. So that's what I'm going to do. Monday, the 15th rolls around. I had sort of made the decision at the beginning of this year that I was not participating in every single Stitch Mania sale. There's just no way. I don't have the time to be able to do every one of them, and nor do I really even have the desire to. And so when the 15th rolled around and people were starting to share their plans and what they were working on that day for Work That Whip in Stitch Mania, I got a case of FOMO. And then I read more into the description of what Work That Whip is meant to be. And it's meant to be time devoted to a Stitch Mania project that you haven't yet finished. And I've been thinking about Stitch Mania, the event, for a long time. Because it's the new year, and so Stitch Mania is less than 6 months away, so of course. So I started looking at my Stitch Mania in recent years, and what I saw was that I don't have very many whips left over from 2016's Stitch Mania. Considering that I started 36 things during that month, to not have a ton left over still is pretty remarkable. But what I do have left over, they're kind of big. And the oldest is one that I started, I believe it was on May 9th, and it was Donna Stitch's Beauty and the Beast. And so I made the decision that I'm going to work on this for an hour every month on the 15th. Just this one project. I'm not going to flip between a bunch of different Mania projects and try to work on all of them or anything like that. This one is going to get about an hour on the 15th for the rest of the year. Because of my Mania starts from 2016, I have the furthest to go on this one by far. And so there is that. And so I'm not going to insert a before because I only worked on this for an hour. And it was kind of a bit of a struggle hour. And I'll explain that here in a second. So here's where I'm at. This is on 32 count Belfast in Cream by Zweigart. And what I did was I filled in this darker shade of pink in this petal. And so that's all I did. So I thought I'm going to have my primary whip on my Millennium and then my extra whip if I'm working on more than one in a day, which I don't like to do, but I would put on my Q-snap. And then I thought, well, let me see if I can change my location for stitching. And so I thought that I would stitch in bed. I wasn't feeling all that great on Monday, and so I thought, I'm going to stitch in bed. It did not go very well. And so then I thought, well, maybe I can set up my Lowry so that I can stitch in bed. And that did not go very well. So it was a bit of a struggle hour, but I did a little bit there. I'm going to have to find an alternative. I'm not going to be able to stitch in bed, which is fine. That's cool. So, so there's that. And like I said, I'll work on this on the 15th of each month for the rest of the year. Now, the other thing is, because this is Beauty and the Beast, or Belle, or whatever you want to call it, it also qualifies for the Princess Sal in Stitch Mania, which is an year-round sale, and it's themed each month. The themes are not mandatory by any stretch of the imagination, but it is themed. And so I thought, well, if I'm working that on the 15th, I might as well try to fit it in to this Princess Sal anyway. I will work on that on the 15th for Work That Whip, as well as for the Princess Sal, and I'll try to fit it in to whatever the theme is. And so we'll go from there, and we'll see what I can get done this month, or this year, with just little fits and spurts. So there's that. So, also on Monday, it was time for my next Focus Whip. And, okay, so here's how the votes shook out. I asked you guys to vote between Birthstone Dragon Sal and the Prairie Schooler Alphabet. More specifically, A is for Anchor. And it came to a 30-7 victory for the Birthstone Dragons. So it was a landslide victory for the Dragons. However, here's the thing. Obviously, I'm not currently working on it, so you know that that's not the one that won. Or that's not the one that I decided to work on. I mentioned that I was going to try to stay as honest to it as I possibly could. But because I didn't finish September on Thursday, I have the border and 3 more dragons to try to get done in this week here. And this week, like I talked to you guys, is a limited stitching week, and it became even more so because I didn't stitch hardly at all yesterday. So, the stitching this week was not going to get that project done. And I am in such a mode for finishing. I want to finish something so bad. At this point, I don't even care what it is. Like, I want to finish something so bad. And it would be really disheartening for me to choose to work on the Birthstone Dragon Sal and not get it finished. Because the whole reason that I was considering blowing my rotation out of the water is that I wanted to finish Birthstone Dragons. And it's not going to happen. Like, it can't happen. So, I decided to go with the Prairie Schooler Alphabet, and more specifically A is for Anchor, because I thought that I could get that block done. So, here is what it will look like finished. And so A is for Anchor is the one that I was primarily focusing on. You'll be seeing a preview here of what this looked like the last you saw it. This is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in platinum by Zweigart. Stitched 1/2 full cross, and that's upside down. And you will notice that this is not on my frame either. I'll explain here in a second. The block is also definitely not done. Some good progress was made for two days. So I worked on this on Monday and Tuesday. And so I finished out the compass except for the back stitch of the north, south, east, west designations. I finished the bird. And I worked on the big sail over here, which is like no easy feat. Like, that's a big sail. And I was so excited to pull this out. because recently Letitia from the Crafty Curator and Olivia B, recently finished their first block. And so I was like, I'm going to join the Finish the First Block Club. I was so excited. Didn't happen. But there's a really good reason why it didn't happen. And that is that I have decided, because I'm me, to add this project to Year of Whips 2.0 2018. And the reason that I decided to do that is that I started this in 2016. There are 26 letters, and I don't have a single one finished. And so my thinking behind finishing this is that I need to put time into it. I mean, that's the way that this whole hobby works, right? You can't get it done unless you put effort into it. And so I thought, well, it'd be really great if I could get 3 letters done this year. If I could get 3 letters done this year, then that means that it would take me 9 years to finish the project, which is a long-term project, but this is a big undertaking. And so a 9-year project, it's not ideal, but it's fine. Like, it would work out just fine if it's going to take me that long. And so that would be a pamphlet a year. Okay. And then I thought, well, each of these letters kind of has 2 parts. So it has this top part and the elf and the letter with this extra stuff. C is for cow, has the cow jumping over the moon, and then this extra stuff on the side and on the bottom. So there's kind of 2 parts to each of these letters. So I thought, okay, so let's say, for instance, I work on A is for anchor for the first third of the year. So that is January, February, March, and April. So I have 2 months to finish the top. And then I have 2 months to finish the bottom. And then I can move on to the next letter. So it's breaking it up into pieces. It's making it much more chewable parts. Rather than looking at this as I have 3 of these that I'm trying to do, it's much more manageable bits. So between now and the end of February, I just have to finish this part. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So then I'm like, all right. So now here I am making plans to work on these 3 letters this year. And I'm dividing them up amongst the year. What am I doing? I'm just, like, without even thinking about it, I'm adding them to Year of Whips. So there's 3 new whips. Just like that. 3 new projects for Year of Whips. And so I pulled out my bullet journal. And you will notice A is for anchor, B is for blackbird, C is for cow. So basically what I did is I just finished out the box on the honeycomb. And then I had this space. So this goes back to Birthstone Dragon's Owl. When I asked you guys to vote last week, I talked about the fact, like, it would be sort of a bummer or sort of the antithesis of what I want 2018 to look like if I was to have my first finish be Birthstone Dragons. And Lisa from Lisa's Stitching and Such, she was like, well, why don't you just add it to your Year of Whips? And at first I was like, no. I was like, I had picked out my plans, I had set them in stone, and I wasn't changing them anymore. But, like, why? Why not just put them in there? I'm close to finishing. It will count as a Year of Whips finish. It will count as a big finish. I won't have this apprehension about finishing it or it being my first finish of the year or whatever that shenanigans is. So why not just put it in Year of Whips? And I had a space for it on my honeycomb in my bullet journal, and so I was like, well, this is just serendipitous. It's going to happen. And so I added 4 projects, and now I'm up to 26. Which I didn't want to make it any bigger. It wasn't the goal to make it any bigger, but this just kind of happened. And I'm okay with it. Because, like I said, I broke down ABC into chewable chunks. And Birthstone Dragons is close-ish. And it stitches up really fast. And it will just feel good to finish those things. So, there it is. I'm up to 26. I'm stopping now. Today is the start date for Year of Whips, and so I am done now. No more adding, although this one that I'm now working on, want to. but I won't do it. It will just be a bonus finish for the year, and that's fine. Or it won't be. We'll see. So I made this decision Tuesday morning, and I decided that if I was going to add them to Year of Whips, then I stopped working on them at that point, like done, until after today. And so I had to pick a new whip. And so Danny picked for me. And I think it's kind of serendipitous that he picked this one, because I know that several of you wanted me to pick dragons purely because of dragons. I'm looking at you, Kim. And so the one that he picked is a really great one for this week because I haven't been feeling the greatest. It's monochromatic and it's gorgeous as far as I'm concerned. So that project is Firewing Designs Paladin. See what I'm saying, Kim? Okay, so I'm not going to insert a before, but here is where I am now. I'll just tell you what I've done. I've made some really good progress. So these, you guys know, I am theming after the dragons, Daenerys Targaryen's dragons from Game of Thrones. And so this first one I'm doing is based on Viserion, who is a cream-colored dragon with gold accents. And so the thread that I'm using is DMC 746. And then I'm going to outline with Petite Treasure Braid, probably PB26 because my fave. And yeah, I'm digging it. So let's see, on Wednesday morning, I did that bit, and I believe it's wing. And then, no, was that Wednesday morning? Yes, it was Wednesday morning. And then my migraine kicked in, and it got worse, and so I stopped stitching. Took more meds, spent the day in bed, finally started to feel better. Last evening, I go to stitch, and I stitch this tail 10 stitches too high. I couldn't win yesterday, you guys. I had no business stitching yesterday. No business whatsoever. And so, I mean, I had done pretty much the whole tip of the tail, actually from here over. So not this part. Anyway, it all had to be ripped out. And so I did the dirty part yesterday, and I ripped it out, and I fixed the fabric, kind of zhuzhed it so that the holes aren't so noticeable anymore. And then this morning I put it in the right place. I tell you what, I was watching a video from, I believe it was McKenna, who was talking about the fact that, like, knock on wood, she doesn't get a visit from the frog very often. And I'm the same way. Like, I see people on social media talk about how they had to rip out a half of a page or so many stitches because they were off. And that's not generally something that I run into. I might have to pull back a few stitches here or there because, like, it was supposed to be 7 and I only stitched 6, or it was supposed to be 7 and I stitched 8, but, like, it's never a big chunk. So I was right there with McKenna. I'm like, yeah, me neither. Me neither, girl. And then I should have knocked on wood when I was agreeing with her, because fate was like, oh, really? You don't ever have to rip out a big section. Well, let me test that theory. So anyway, so there's that. I hope I mentioned the fabric. It's 32 Belfast in Khaleesi by Under the Sea Fabrics. And I'm a big fan of how it's working up. So I'll work on this for the rest of today. This one, like, it stitches up so fast, you guys. It's so fast. I mean, I'm using DMC to begin with, and it's monochromatic, and it's not very big. It stitches up so fast, to the point where I was almost like, I wonder if I could sneak one more into Year of Whips. But I said, no, Jess, quit while you're ahead. So there's that. So I'll get back to work on this, and I'll work on it for the rest of today, and we'll see what happens. That sort of helps us segue into plans a little bit. So I'll work on that today, and then Tomorrow starts, like I had mentioned, the next Heaven and Earth Design Weekend for me, and this weekend I am devoting my efforts um, to the quarterly element sal, which is air for January through March. And so I'll be working on Snowcastle, like I said, plenty of air and smoke and whatnot through the trees. And then on Monday, I'm so excited for Monday, you guys. Here's why. Your whip starts today. For me, it doesn't start till Monday because of my rotation and because of the plans that I have set in place. And Monday, I get to pull out Lady of the Flag, finally. I have missed that project more than I can really even put into words. And so I'm very excited to pull it out and to work on it. Hopefully I can work down that arm and get the skin finished. But we'll see. I didn't bring it with me today, but I'll show you next time how far I get. So there is that. So that is it for the projects this go around. Let's switch over and we will talk about some recent acquisitions, purchases, what have you. So first things first, I have December's Fabric of the Month from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, and I haven't opened this up, so I have no idea what the whole thing looks like. This is Sugar Plum Fairies, and this is a 32 count Belfast linen fat quarter cut. I thought she circled the wrong one for a second. I was about to be really excited, thinking I got a fat half. No. Anyway, so it's this gorgeous purpley pink white mottled madness, but gorgeousness, right? Like, gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I need to go through my fabrics. I may be listing some on Stash Unload. So if you're on Stash Unload, stay tuned for that. But this is not one of them. This one is staying for sure. And then, like I told you guys, I ordered some beads for Birthstone Dragons. And so I got this here from Fusion Beads. And it's just a whole bunch of beads. So I'm not going to show you, like, everything that I got. Like, this is item number whatever. I'm not doing that. But I will just show you real quickly what I got and for why. Okay, so first things first, I got a spool of Oh Wait Nymo, which you can get from Fusion Beads. I didn't necessarily need it, but I wanted it, and Fusion Beads has a thing where if you spend over $25, it's free shipping. So this helped me crest over that dollar amount. Then I got something for Autumn Fairy by Chatelaine. So Autumn Fairy by Chatelaine calls for 2 Swarovski crystals, and they are both heart-shaped, supposedly, and the color is Volcano Dorado, which Swarovski no longer produces. Volcano Dorado is very hard to find, and certainly the right size heart is very hard to find. And I remember from Doodlehead Stitches blog, she talked about how she just sort of pulled something from Stash to put in there because it's called for in 2 places. And so I got one from European Cross Stitch, but not the second because it's a thing. Anyway, so I found this, and it is a volcano, but it's not the Dorado finishing, and it's just a circle, but it will suffice. I think that this one goes in the mandala, and so it will be just fine being circle. And so it's this gorgeous blues and oranges, and yeah, pretty. So there's that. Then apparently free shipping wasn't enough. They sent me a free gift, so there's that. Then these are the beads that I ordered for Q for Birthstone Dragons. So you can kind of see that they are these multicolored but mostly ruby. And they are silver lined. So there's that. And then I talked about how in the corners on Birthstone Dragons I was going to replace the stitches with beads, because why not? And so I got these. And these are pretty basic, boring gold beads, but they are 24 karat gold. So it's just a little bit blingy. I was going to do a rose gold or a white gold or black beads, but I just decided that I didn't want it to clash with the Petite Treasure braid that I'm using from the majority of the borders. And I also didn't want it to clash with the colors of the dragons, and so I just went with gold. And why not go with 24 karat gold? So there's that. And then I got beads for Lady of the Flag. So I talked about how I was replacing the Mill Hill beads with Delicas because I'm using the 32 count dyed fabric. Those Mill Hill beads can get kind of tight, and so I went with size 11 Delica beads, and I used a bead conversion from Northern Expressions Needlework. I will link that down below. It is one of my favorite resources. She converts from Mill Hill to Delica, Miyuki, and Toho. So whatever beads you want to use, she's got a conversion for it, and I think that's pretty fabulous. So I was able to match those up, and so I have beads for Lady of the Flag to be put on hopefully by October. I hope. And that's it for purchases or acquisitions. Fun. Okay, let's get to the last two topics here. And so we are going to talk books first and knits second, and neither of which are going to be very long. So first things first is The Snow Child by A.U.N. Ivy. And I can actually go ahead and take my bookmark out because I finished this at approximately 12:01 a.m. this morning. Yeah, just after midnight. And so this is the first book for my brother and I's sibling book club. Sibling read-along? Matt, why can I never remember this? Anyway, so this was the first book for that. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to be spoilery, but I ended up rating this 2.5 stars. And I'm going to be the black sheep. I'm going to go against what everybody else says is so amazing and so beautiful and so magical. I did not care for this. I didn't. And I think that part of the reason is that I went into this expecting something that I did not get. So I expected this to be much more brutal than it was. I expected it to hurt a lot more. So the premise for this book is a childless couple in the 1920s, 1920, in fact. Mabel and Jack moved to Alaska, to Homestead in Alaska. And so they moved north of BFE, Alaska, to start their lives over. They originally come from the continental United States, but they decide to go up where nobody else is and to start over because they have suffered some loss. They are childless, despite the fact that that is the only thing that they have really wanted together. They've wanted kids, and they haven't been able to have kids. And so they escape and go to Alaska. Alaska in 1920. Can you imagine how difficult life must be in 1920 in Alaska when you are from Pennsylvania, where, don't get me wrong, winter is rough down here. I mean, and in Pennsylvania, you get snow because mountains. So I get it that they are accustomed to winter, but winter in Alaska has got to be a very different situation. They are up where, and they don't say specifically where they are. They do, but I can't remember the name of the town. Anyway, I expected this to be brutal. I expected it to be kind of gut-wrenching. I expected it to be hard to read in places. And it seemed that when bad things happened, it was so easily resolved that magic, as far as I'm concerned, is the only way that these things were resolved. Now, this is based on a Russian fairy tale, and the Russian fairy tale is that this childless couple builds a snow girl out of snow, so a snowman, but they dress it up like a girl. And the next morning they get up and the snow girl is gone, and all of a sudden there is this parentless child. And she is made from this snow girl that they had made the night before. And so it's a beautiful Russian fairy tale. And I don't know, it just felt like it was trying too hard. On top of the fact that sometimes I felt like Eowyn Ivey forgot which era she was writing in. Sometimes it felt like she forgot that it was 1920 and not 1960, or that it was 1920 and not 1850. She either made things too primitive, too basic, or too advanced. Like, there's no way that this certain situation would be happening in 1920 because technology like that wouldn't exist. And I mean, it wasn't an overtly obvious thing. It was just some situations where somebody in 1920 would never react like that. They would never react like that. But they would if it was 1960. Anyway, I had a lot of problems with this book, and there wasn't much to a plot. And there didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for anything, truly. So, anyway, The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey. I am sorry to those who love this book. I was not a fan. I was expecting it to be much more brutal. I was expecting the hard times to fall hard, and I was expecting to feel connected to the characters. That was another issue that I have. And that's The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey. So there's that. It was good. It wasn't great. I wouldn't read it again. I haven't read any more of Across the Universe by Beth Revis, which I'm listening to on audiobook, but I will get back to that either today or tomorrow. Some point I'll listen to that. The next print book that I'm going to pick up is Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. And I'm going to try to read a little bit from this today. This is an incredibly short book with big margins and big spaces and big wording. So I imagine that this is going to be a really quick read. I absolutely adored the movie. I watched it countless times. And so I'm interested to see how different this is from the film. I haven't watched the film in a long time, and so I think that once I finish reading this, I'm going to watch it again. So that's Girl Interrupted. Neither of these are Lily reads. I'm sorry, Lily. Hopefully I can read one of those here pretty soon. Just kind of in an adult books kind of mode. Okay, let's talk knits here real quick. And I do not have a hoe like I thought I was going to. And for those who are concerned about my terminology there, hoe is half object or half finished object. It is a common sock knitter terminology for having one sock. But I'm not there yet. So here's where I'm at. I put my sock on the sock blocker because I just wanted to see how it looked, and I'm a little bit concerned that it's too loose here. So I have finished the gusset decreases. I was up here probably somewhere around there the last time we spoke. I had a few of the gusset decreases done, but I have now finished that. And now I'm ready to start knitting the foot. And so I'm getting there. I am worried that it's too loose. I am worried that I'm knitting it too loose of a gauge. This stitch marker is irrelevant. It's I've long forgotten it. So anyway, this is my sock, and it is coming along, but slowly, much more slowly now. It's okay. I still have till the end of the month to finish this sock and stay on track with my goals for the year. It's just slowed down considerably. So yeah. And the yarn is Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock in the West Wind colorway. Gorgeous wintry blue. So there's that. And then I've spent a lot of time, I shouldn't say a lot because I haven't spent a lot of time knitting to begin with, but the majority of my knitting time has gone to my Rochambeau Cowlette. And this is for the Willy Wonka Palooza January. So here is my stitch marker to show you where I was the last time. And so I've made some progress. I'm still not done with the increases and with the flat knitting section. Obviously, I haven't joined in the round yet, but I'm close. I have, I think, 10 rows to go before I can join in the round. I debated doing that the first thing this morning before getting to filming, but I thought, well, that's kind of cheating. It's not really honest. So that's where I am, and this is out of the Plucky Knitter Primo Fingering in the Kindred Spirits colorway. Just a gorgeous stony gray. My ball is starting to fall apart. I'm about to have yarn vomit. Anyway, so there's that. So not much in the way of knitting these days, but hopefully I will get that finished in time for next month. Speaking of February very briefly here, I was going to talk about February plans today, but then I realized that we still have 2 more videos before February, and that's if I stick with this weekly schedule. So I'll talk about that next time. I have debated moving to a 2-week schedule rather than a 1-week schedule. There goes Thor. But we'll just wait and see how things shake out. I know that you guys prefer the longer videos. I've had several requests for the longer videos because, but because of my rotation, the way that my rotation is formatted these days, it's just hard for me to be able to produce enough content for a longer video every week. This one is going to be an extraordinary case because I worked on far more projects than I normally have scheduled, but it's going to dwindle again here in the future. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So as far as I know, you can expect to see me next Wednesday or Thursday or whenever it happens. That's everything that I have to talk to you about today. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support of me and my channel. I hope that you're well. I hope that you're stitching, and I will see you next time. Hello. I'm also going to skip this segment. Comments, questions. Hi, handsome. Oh, you say hi? Say hello. What are you doing? What are you doing, big guy? Sit. I miss the days when I could start filming and film the whole thing in one shot and upload it. Blah, blah, blah. Words, words, words.